Spitting Image is a satirical UK TV show which pokes fun at politicians and celebrities. It originally ran in the 1980s and returned in 2020 for a rebooted run. On the 3rd of October 2020, we were gifted with a prophetic message from our saviour Greta Thunberg. Thunberg? I don't know, she's Swedish, pronunciation is a lottery.
And now, the weather forecast with Greta Thunberg.
Hot!
We should have heeded this dire warning, because now it seems we are forever doomed as a species, with fire, floods, and basically all the worst bits of the Bible, due any day now. Now, as identified by Jack Posobiec, whatever, why can't you people just have normal English names? Greta's been rather quiet of late, because apparently she died along with the rest of humanity on June 21st, 2023, 5 years after she tweeted the exact date of Armageddon. At least that's what she predicted before quietly deleting her tweets. Either that or she's hiding in a sauna in Malmo trying to avoid the hand grenades, because Sweden has become a bit like Somalia in recent times. But that's a whole nother story. So for the rest of us 8 billion zombies still wandering aimlessly around the planet, wondering what the hell happened, it came as rather a surprise that in July 2023, the BBC Met Office took up Greta's doomsday mantle. The same BBC Met Office who 30 odd years ago told people there wasn't a hurricane coming, right before the Great Storm of 1987, that hit the UK with winds up to 115 miles per hour, left hundreds of thousands of homes without power and killed 18 people, the most damaging storm to hit the UK since 1703. Now, as James Melville identified on Twitter, it seemed like the BBC Met Office might just be engaging in a spot of scaremongering, just a tad of social engineering, a little nudge here and there for us to change our ways, by painting everything remotely above 0 degrees Celsius in bright red.
Because red equals hot.
For us plebs who never learnt Celsius at school. But not to worry, James was just promoting fake news and misleading people. Both Snopes and Huffington Post quickly jumped on this tweet faster than their paymasters could turn on the tasers, to declare,
No. It's not to scare the living bejesus out of everyone, it's to help colourblind people.
They even stamped their branded misleading watermark on the screenshots, so you know their fact check is 100% accurate and not at all driven by ideology. Colourblind people need this assistance because apparently they can't sense heat or cold by themselves. If they can also breathe underwater, they will be the master race after the apocalypse. Not content to be left out of a discussion, the renowned medical journal The Lancet decided it's time we all know about the danger of excess heat deaths, because apparently that's a thing now. Everyone who dies when the temperature is not exactly 20 degrees Celsius has either died from the cold or died from the heat. Not because of failing organs, cancer, heart disease, and myriad other ailments. No, we're all basically immortal unless the mercury in the thermometer moves 1 millimetre, and then we're all fucked. Unfortunately, and in a not at all cynical attempt to manipulate or scare the public, when comparing heat deaths and cold deaths, they use different y-axis scales on the same graph. On the left is their totally unbiased representation of the relative dangers, and on the right is a truth they don't want to admit to. The chance from dying from the cold is a magnitude more likely than dying from the heat. But it's rather difficult to convince people about the dangers of cold in the middle of bloody summer. Now, on their website it states,
The Lancet Group take issues related to scientific misconduct extremely seriously.
One wonders when they will begin investigating themselves for this blatant scientific misconduct. Let's wait and see. I'm sure a retraction will be coming any day now. Now, back to the BBC, where a blistering heatwave in Europe was so severe, they decided to send Justin Rolat, their first climate editor, I know because it says so in his Twitter bio, 1,800 miles to Spain, just so he could stand on the balcony of his villa and give us a frontline report on the disaster. Does anyone remember the 80s and 90s, where Kate Adie doggedly reported on real front lines, with bullets flying and bombs dropping, exposed to actual danger in war-torn hellholes? The only danger Justin was in was getting charged too much for a stuffed donkey. But he's doing crucial reporting work, even if his flight did pump out more unnecessary CO2 into the atmosphere, the very thing he spends most of his time advocating against. When the Daily Mail called him out on this, his response was to jump straight on Twitter to prostrate himself in front of a church of climate change, begging for sympathy and or validation. And of course, like clockwork, the actual issue was completely glossed over because shooting the messenger is far more important. Whenever you hear someone use the phrase,
reporting in bad faith,
it inevitably means someone got caught doing something they shouldn't by someone they don't like. In Greece, the country has been plagued by wildfires, causing thousands of evacuations. This is because of climate change. Experts in 20 countries have reliably informed us, so this is the only possible explanation. Unfortunately, when it turned out the fires were started by arsonists, they quickly had to backtrack. But not to be completely outdone, they doubled down on their bullshit.
You see, it's because of climate change that things burned.
Not because, every summer things tend to be dry and hot and easy to set alight, as opposed to every winter when things tend to be wet and cold and impossible to set alight. You heard it here, folks, fires never happened before the millennium. But in all seriousness, climate change is happening. I don't think anyone believes otherwise. But there's a vast gulf between believing in something and believing that the causes are what the powers that be want us to believe. I also believe in gravity. But if an expert tells me gravity is powered by little gnomes digging at the Earth's core, I can rightly tell them to either prove it or fuck off. One of the biggest mistakes the climate science community ever made was declaring,
the science is settled.
Science is never settled. The entire scientific method is based on continually revising theories, testing hypotheses, and arriving at better conclusions as new data comes in. And for other scientists to be able to reproduce those results and conclusions. But as we know from the ClimateGate scandal a few years ago, this branch of science is a jealously guarded fiefdom, where even slightly contrary views are dismissed without question, and that the peer review process is fundamentally flawed when consensus is based on only funding the correct opinions. When certain experts would rather delete data than hand it over to another expert under a freedom of information request, then science is corrupted at its core. Climate science is the new religion, with its high priest determining the truth, its deacons and archbishops implementing policy based on doctrine, and its acolytes burning unbelievers at the stake. Although at least now they get to burn the heretics in Greece, and they don't even have to pay for the firelighters. Hot! If you made it this far, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment and share. Someone? Anyone? Please? iDog out.